In my state, initially, FEMA revised the flood map for Maine's largest city, Portland, without consulting with Portland city officials. But the problem is that the city had to spend $10,000 to hire a consultant to do the kinds of specialized modeling. There are now some 24 coastal communities in Maine that are going through the same process. When the Portland Press-Herald interviewed FEMA officials about why they were not doing the more sophisticated modeling, FEMA replied that it lacked sufficient funding to perform the more detailed floodplain modeling that the city of Portland paid for and that these other communities are paying for. That prompted me to take a look at the budget that FEMA has for flood map modernization. And last fiscal year, the president's budget request was $220 million, and Congress fully funded that amount. This year, however, the administration's budget request is only for $194 million. That obviously is $26 million less. That's more than a 10% cut. Did FEMA ask for more money and get turned down?
I can answer that. Actually, Senator, the cut was because of efficiencies in our program management and a new system for IT that helped us save some dollars. Nice to have real granular data everywhere, and it's simply not available at this point.
But see, that's exactly the problem. It's shifting the burden onto the coastal communities in York and Cumberland counties to spend the money for consultants to produce this data. And that's expensive, and a lot of these communities are cash-strapped right now due to tough economic times. And we have communities like Harpswell, for example, which, believe it or not, has 200 miles of coast, even though it's a very small community, just because of the way Maine's coast is. There are so many little bays and inlets. We have the town of Kennebunkport. It's projected that 2/3 of Kennebunkport would be placed in a flood zone. That's a 50% increase from the current flood map. The implications for new development, as the chairman have both indicated, for the cost of flood insurance are enormous, both for individuals and for the community. And that's why I feel so strongly that the financial burden of providing the data that would lead to the most accurate possible flood maps shouldn't fall on the communities. It should be FEMA's responsibility.